let me turn it to you all, and we'll start with Mike. And Mike, if you introduce yourself from Singapore, tell us a little bit about your union and then what your union's doing along the lines of experiential learning.
Okay, I'm Mike Thiruman from Singapore Teachers Union, the General Secretary. We've been in existence since 1946. The Singapore Teachers Union, the largest teachers union. The reason we started was because after the World War II, when the Britishers came back, the British teachers got the war pension and the local teachers did not. Okay, so that sets the context, right? And of course, we were involved in the independence movement and very involved with the ruling party then, and now up to this stage. So our symbiotic relationship with the ruling party exists up to this stage. So hence some of the things that I talk about in terms of social dialogue and all those kind of things that moves our agenda forward, it's always in line with the governing party, right? Okay, so that's that. In terms of experiential learning, let me go back to the exams first, right? We have grade 6 exams, grade 10 exams, grade 12 exams, right? But we are moving away from it. You know where the pressure is coming from? Parents. Parents do not want us to move away. So their question is, where is the benchmarking then going to happen? Where does my kid stand? Okay, that's a huge challenge. We are trying to move away at the grade 6 level. We have modified our grading system, but parents are still iffy. Parents who grew up in my generation, where we were very exam focused, right? So we are shifting that bit. In terms of experiential learning, can I just jump into it then?
Yeah.
Straight away, okay, I'll just jump into it. At the end of the day, I think with technology and the way the world is moving, our learning must go back to the basics. That's what we have stuck on, right? Our core focus will be numeracy literacy. Beyond that, it's for the kids to go and learn on their own in terms of knowledge. Then we focus on creative problem solving, critical thinking. Where does this really happen? Essentially, it happens outside the classroom, right? It's very difficult to make it happen during the class sessions, but we have these modules called applied learning modules, where all the students must go through an applied learning process. And creative problem solving is a huge thing in Singapore. Right? When you look at our PISA test, you may be wondering, these kids must be really exam smart. You know, Singapore must be preparing them for the PISA. Actually, we don't care two hoots about PISA. Right? It's just that we are focus on the skills that PISA tests. At the end of the day, if PISA doesn't test the skills that we are interested in, we may not do that well in PISA. Okay, so it's just that concurrence at this current stage. That's fine, right? So in terms of applied learning, kids go through a lot of projects, a lot of different aspects. So every school may have different projects in terms of applied learning for the different grade levels, and the kids go through it. It's a huge push, and in terms of the spread of student capacity that we have, right? For the top 10% of students from each cohort, we have removed the grade 10 exam. That's a huge step for us. Just think about it. At the end of the day, the top 10 students will perform well in the exams anyways, right? So why the thing about exams is you must spend at least 6 months preparing for it. It's a wasting of time for 6 months of learning. Instead, you end up relearning whatever or memorizing whatever you have done. So why do that? So we have done away with grade 10 exams, and my youngest son is doing that program, and he's enjoying his secondary school life. 4 times a week, he's out in the reservoir kayaking. Okay, I'm mentioning this because co-curricular activities is a key component of dispositional development, character development. You cannot learn this. You cannot learn teamwork. You cannot learn grit. You cannot learn perseverance in the classroom. You learn it outside, and these are transferable skills that goes on to your life, right? So we spend a lot of time, our students spend a lot of time in co-curricular activities. So that's where the experiential learning comes in. We have cut down on exams and syllabus. We have taken away 30% of the curriculum content, right? Because at this day and age, we know content you can go learn on your own, right? If you have the essential learning skills and numeracy literacy capacity. So we are looking at that. Our teachers are into it. They love doing this because it actually gives them a lot more room to decide sort of curricular content, learning content in their own school context. So each school is different, and this applied learning processes comes in from the school perspective, and the schools are at liberty to go and attach themselves to the various industries. Okay, last thing I want to talk about will be the vocational education, which is key. World over, what I've seen, vocational education is deemed to be for the unfit, academically unfit. It's deemed to be the worst of the thing. If you look at the funding, they receive the least funding, generally speaking. But if you go to Singapore's Vocational Institute, you will think it's a top-notch university, right? Because the investment is there, because these kids themselves, because of the social stigma and all that, they are already demoralized. You don't want them to go into an institute where it's run down and the teachers are demoralized, right? So we have built these institutes to ensure that they have maximum leverage and attached to industry all the time, right? So the people who find jobs immediately when they graduate would be our vocational institute students, right? So I'll just leave it at that for this moment.
Thank you. Really impressive. Let me ask you one follow-up. Like your kayaking example, the co-curricular things like that are happening, which sound really exciting to our American ears, I think. We don't do enough of that. Is that seen to be, in the discussion about how to get there in terms of the curriculum, are those experiences seem to be like clearly, like it's very open and overt that we're saying like we're going to cut the curriculum and do this instead, as opposed to just sort of adding on to what you're doing curricularly. Is that how it works?
Yes, content must be cut, because at the end of the day, you learn something, you have learning skills, you can go learn something else on your own. Especially in this day and age with AI and everything, it's a lot possible, right? So why teach all the content when the kids themselves need to can learn on their own? And it's actually their job to learn, right? We give them the tools to learn, and then they go and learn if they are interested in, instead of doing 10 subjects, you know, and what's that actually going to teach them? You know, many of us have talked about calculus and how we use calculus in our daily life all the time. Right? Yep. Right. Yeah. Algebra. Really? So why force that content? And you spend years learning, right? Why? If you are interested, if this is critical to your learning endeavor, your passion, move ahead. So we need to cut content. It must be because we evaluate on what to keep, what to improve, what to start, and what to stop. KISS. Right? And this is a process every school leader, every school teacher goes through. Okay? And this is how we evaluate, and things shift all the time. Yeah.
Great. Well, really interesting to our American ears, especially where Singapore's test scores and PISA things are often thrown up in our faces as like, see how we got to really get to test prep because we're being exceeded in test scores by countries like yours. So thank you.